Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Tax in 10 with me, Rachel de Souza, and Andrew Robbins. We're both tax partners in RSM's London office and have a wealth of experience in dealing with a wide range of private client matters. Your feedback is valuable to us, so do keep it coming, especially if you have thoughts on any topics you would like us to cover. We can be contacted at rachel.d'souza@rsmuk.com and andrew.robbins@rsmuk.com.
HMRC have just published a consultation document which is talking about future information sharing across borders and how HMRC can help taxpayers ensure that they disclose the right information where non-UK income and gains are in point. And this is a subject that Rachel and I want to talk more about, but our problem is, before we can sensibly talk to you about this consultation paper, we first need to talk about some of the background to it, and in particular the whole issue of making tax digital. Now, this is a bit of a problem for us because neither Rachel nor I are experts on making tax digital. So rather than us waffling on and confusing ourselves and everybody else, we thought it would be a much better idea to bring in somebody who did know what she was talking about. It's for that reason that you might have noticed that it's not just the two of us on screen today, but we also have Heather Pendlebury, who really is a specialist on making tax digital and is going to help us hopefully understand what on earth it's all about. So, hello Heather, thank you very much for joining us. And can you explain making tax digital to me, please?
Hi Andrew. Yeah, well, Making Tax Digital, or MTD for income tax, it was first announced in 2015 and it got moved into long grass as a result of things like Brexit, but it's back now and it's a key part of the government's plans to make it easier for businesses and individuals to deal with their tax affairs. And HMRC are looking to become one of the most digitally advanced tax administrations in the world. So an MTD is a fundamental change to the way we submit tax information to HMRC and pay our tax.
So that all sounds quite innovative, but who will actually be affected?
Well, it's going to affect all self-employed businesses and landlords with gross income or turnover of greater than £10,000. So this means that if you've got multiple businesses or you're a business with rental income, it's going to be the total combined turnover that's got to be over £10,000. It'll also include partnerships that have got business and rental income, but the partnership's got to be made up solely of individuals, so it doesn't affect LLPs. An MTD won't apply to what HMRC describes as complex taxpayers. So this includes trusts and estates and trustees of registered pension schemes. And it's actually going to be here a lot sooner than you think, as it comes into play for any accounting period starting on or after the 6th of April 2023. So this means that the first year that will be fully MTD will be 2023-24.
So there's obviously quite a big change here, but what changes will taxpayers actually see in practice?
Well, what does it mean? So it's going to mean that all taxpayers within MTD will have to record their tax affairs digitally and upload those to HMRC using recognised online software or an app. So people really need to start thinking now about what software they're going to use. So this will then need to be submitted to HMRC on a quarterly basis within a month of the quarter end, with a final balancing submission to take into account any adjustments that you need, things like claiming capital allowances and any tax adjustments. So the first year of MTD, 2023-24, it looks like you'll have to do your 4 quarterly reports to submit. You'll have your 2023 tax return from the previous year, and that'll need to be in Jan 24. Plus there'll be a 5th and final year-end report, probably due Jan 25. So there's going to be a lot to do, and people really need to get organised and prepared. You can also make voluntary tax payments as you go along, but I really can't imagine it'll be too long before this becomes slightly less voluntary and more of a pay-as-you-go system.
So just to make sure I'm getting that right, potentially we're moving to a position of 5 tax returns during the course of the year, plus initially voluntary tax payments, which I think we all think over time will become much less voluntary. So a lot more work to be done.
There will be a lot more work to be done, and I think, like I say, people will really need to start getting organised. And I think this move to sort of paying as you go is probably something the Revenue are quite keen on. You see it with what they're doing now in terms of the 30-day UK CGT reporting that you have to do, where you have to submit your tax return and pay your capital gains tax within 30 days. So I think it's the way things are moving.
And with all this extra reporting or additional reporting throughout the year, will HMRC be getting a lot of information directly from the sources, for example, like they do with employment income at the moment?
Well, we don't know exactly what they'll have access to, but even at the moment, they've got direct access to income that's subject to pay as you earn, so things like earnings, benefits and pensions, and they've also got access to bank interest now. So whether that'll be expanded any further, we're not too sure.
And if I stand back from all this, there's quite a lot of detail there. There's going to be quite big changes happening. Do you have a sense as to whether MTD is actually a good thing or a bad thing overall?
Well, I think MTD is just going to be a huge change to the way taxpayers interact with HMRC, and it'll be a huge change to the role of accountants working within private clients. So taxpayers are going to need to get organised. So HMRC have said there'll be no penalties for late submissions in the first year as people sort of get used to the system, but after that penalties will be charged. So I think it's like all these things, Andrew, nobody likes change, but it will allow individuals to manage their tax affairs in real time. So it should give them more opportunity to plan and forecast better. And I think as advisors, there should be a lot of opportunities to add real value to the services that we provide to clients now that we can use up-to-date information. So I think people really need to start thinking about and planning for MTD now, as it's less than 2 years away. This is a huge change and taxpayers and advisors need to be prepared.
I think from that, it's really clear that there's the summary of the position is big changes coming, and people will need to be prepared in order to make that change work. And I think actually it's remarkable how little public discussion has been so far, given that fact. I can see a lot of last-minute panic happening if we're not careful. And as advisors, we're going to have a lot of conversations with clients over the next few months to help them get ready, both in terms of things like information gathering, but just in terms of the number of returns they will have to do. And it may all be digital and electronic, but people will have to get used to engaging on a much more frequent basis, both with their advisors and with the tax authorities, in order for this to work in total. It's really interesting. Thank you, Heather.
Yes, I agree. That's a great introduction to making tax digital, and Andrew and I will pick up on the subject in the next edition with regard to some offshore elements. But along with having Heather as our guest speaker, I asked her if she would also like to do our recommendations for this week, and delightfully she has something quite exciting to share with us, I think. Over to you again, Heather.
Yeah, well, I do like a good detective and a murder, so I am currently enjoying Mayor of Eastbourne, starring Kate Winslet, and it's on Sky Atlantic. We're into episode 3, and I think there's probably about 8, but I can really recommend that. And in lockdown, I really enjoyed Call My Agent, which is about a theatrical agency in Paris, which is very funny, and it has a stunning backdrop. So I would recommend both of those, Rachel.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you so much. Always looking for something new to watch. Anyway, thanks everyone for listening. Please let us have your comments and feedback as usual, and we can be contacted on andrew.robbins@rsmuk.com and rachel.d'souza@rsmuk.com. Until next time.